Hey everyone, Hans here, hope everyone's doing well. Today I'm gonna talk a bit about the inherent good in capital M white man. Why white man and not every man? That is very simple, because I am a white man. And by extent of that, I do not think it's my business to talk about others, as certain as it is not their business to talk about my own. Fair enough? I think so, especially in these anti-white times. So, the inherent good in white man. Uh, I'm gonna extend that also to the women and the children, of course. It's capital M man that I'm on about. A bit Tolkien-esque, the race of man. He never speaks about humans. That is a detail that many people seem to miss. The word human in and of itself is also a bit weird, isn't it? Human. Like, listen to that sound. Like, man just comes in different hues. What kind of hues? Coloration, like they tend to do, but that's a pathogen. It's a mimetic pathogen that we're all the same, just if it weren't for the color of our faces and all of that, which is nonsense. Then hue seems to have some sort of chameleon-esque aspect, isn't it? It's kind of bleh. I find it a bit disgusting a term the more I think about it. But it's legal language these days, so you need to be careful, I guess, with what you say. Definitely have nothing but goodwill to everyone that is of good disposition in the world, doesn't matter who you are. And evil people, well, I guess they're gonna get what's coming to them. It's kind of the age. So, anyways, I want to definitely be a voice that speaks well. There is too many already who will speak about all the ills in the world, the ills that are happening to the white race specifically. And while it is valid and it is important that it's understood what is going on, even if alone to remember uh, the anti-whites responsible for all of this hurt, is most definitely something that will have to be looked at. But nonetheless, there is a little bit of a lack, in my opinion, in motivation. And today I wanted to go into, well, I only know ever so little about the man. I've only touched the surface, but I've been reading some of Schopenhauer's works. That is a German philosopher, and he has a remarkably, in my eyes, funny, but also kind of morose way of looking at the world, even almost melancholic, or you could say. But apparently, he was a very calm man, at least at the end of his life. And bearing in mind that I don't know most of what he said, so maybe I'm gonna make myself look silly, but that is fine. I can take that. Is that he spoke about how nature is teeth and claws and anything nasty and death. It's just a world of death. And I do wonder if he said that on purpose to make people think, to make people want to disagree. And if that was his intention, well, he definitely worked. It worked on me. I was already contemplating a lot of that, but it's good. It's good to have soundboards in other people, if you ask me. So nature is nothing but teeth and claws and death. And I've definitely heard many urbanized people speak about that, how nature, even people that I personally have respect for, at least in certain fields, who would say that nature is out to kill you. There is bears out there and disease and hunger and cold and heat, overheating and sunburns and quicksand and all, what is that called again? Whirlpools and tornadoes, earthquakes. It's just nothing but horror all over the place. And I listen to that and I think, yeah, yeah, that is definitely that aspect. Every man, every living being, you can reach the age of 1,000, but at the end of the line, you're gonna go. Your body is gonna give out, and then you go to, as I see it, you go to where you wanna go, or nowhere, I suppose. Kind of depends on how you've lived your life. I think most people agree on that. Think that is, if there is a metric, that is a fair one to make, fair one to have, I think. And I do wonder though about these people, because they have forgotten something very crucial. And actually, this sort of mindset is Gnostic at its root, and Gnosticism is that it comes with a despise for nature. Oh, these trees behind me can fall on my head, and then I'm squished, or the ground can sink underneath my feet, and I can be sucked in, and that's the end of me, and the sky can fall down on my head. It's all possible, I guess, but isn't nature also that which should nourish you? Can it not fill you with awe? Person who says that nature is nothing but teeth and claws. What about visiting the Alps? You can look at that as an icy death trap. Rocks and snow can tumble on your head and you can be buried and it's gonna be the end of you, and that's that. What a horrible place, these Alps. Or, hey guys, I've invented something. It's a board, you sit on it or you stand on it and you slide down the snow. Or you can sit on your butt and slide down. Just be mindful of these dangerous trees all over that you can, slide into. Oh, the sky is filled with thunder and the lightning can slam right into you and turn you into a crisp. And or even if you survive, if like these horrible burns all over you and ooh. Or it can be rumbling in the sky and you can just look at the awe of all the power that is taking place there. Feel the soothing rain on your skin. Maybe even have a rainbow afterwards. You kind of see where I'm going with this? What about eating? Yeah, the red berry will choke you if you eat it. The blueberry will nourish you. So what is it then? Is nature then evil or is it good? It's beyond, if you ask me. That is where I would say our ancestral ways come in. Our ancestors understood this. If you live in harmony with nature, you have to be beyond good and evil if you want to be a fulfilled person or get close to that. That is, I think, one of the core principles behind most philosophies. It's about figuring it out, but nature kind of shows you though. We're all surrounded by it, but in urbanized, modernist minds, I have to say, I find that many of them are blind to it. There are a few who notice, but they're few, I'm afraid to say. Country folk, on the other hand, they seem to grasp it a bit better. And then what is the problem really? Why would you call nature or the body evil? Well, it's because you're unaccomplished and you have a mindset that just stinks of cowardice to me. You're afraid of everything if you talk like that. And that's how you out it. And those who are afraid tend to be the most dangerous, as the saying goes, right? The trapped tiger will definitely leap out at you if it has nowhere else to go. I mean, nature is all, right? Nature is all. You cannot go, or I guess there are these artificial solutions, if you will, where man then creates cities and look at the mess. Just look at it. So, man being inherently good. Coming back to that point. I find that if you might say that I've disproven myself by saying that, well, I guess the goal is to be beyond good and evil if you want to follow nature, but that's something you throughout life you tend to have to work towards. Become part of the ecosystem, if you will. And that's something you do in your natural habitat, for those who wonder. If you can do that, I think that is one of the more respectable ways to live life. One might say that can be brutal. Well, then again, is that not your personal scruples that get in the way, or what shall one call it? Preferences. Okay. I already can hear people come at me. Yeah, but what about stuff like murder and stuff, Hans? You know, like some guy sees you in the forest and he clubs you over the head, and now you're lying on the floor and you're bleeding out. Now we're coming back to the tooth and claws, but you know what? Fine. There might be these deranged minds, although I think in a natural environment you just have less of that. Because you are in a natural environment, your senses are attuned to that, compared to cities where it's just flashing lights and noise all the time and gases all over the place. Ugh. And just people in too close proximity of all kinds of cultures that are, at some point, just people, different races living together, living all on their own frequency, and somehow that has to work together. And yeah, well, I guess in 2022 we see the result of what's going on in that regard, and we've been seeing it for a while, right? I'm gonna leave it in the middle here. Make up your own mind about that. I'm not gonna go into it too much. But let's say, some way, somehow, deranged mind clubs Hans over the head, Hans is dead. Steals Hans's ham, or whatever it is that he found in the woods. Okay. That is clearly an evil act, because it's murder, it's theft, and all that's attached to that. Some might say, oh, well, that's nature. Tough on you, buddy. Okay. Others would say that's evil. Also okay. Some might even say it's good. Evil people will definitely call it a good thing. Because, the evil person was surviving. Now, imagine then that an evil person goes to the tribe. I don't know, the tribe that I'm part of. The tribe that he is part of. There might be some subjective differences of opinion, right? As is the first place where people go in everything. Let's say that the one then who took out Hans, you know what, I'm not gonna make it too difficult. Let's just say Hans is dead in the forest, and the guy who did it, or girl, whatever, enters the tribal hold, whatever, village, house, hut, stays in the middle. And then they ask, hey, have you seen Hans? And he immediately has to say no. Or that person has to say, no, didn't see him. Hey, where did you get that ham? Oh, found it myself. Okay. Can you see then that if it was a good deed to take Hans out like that, why would he have lied? Why would this person be deceptive? What if it was the case that Hans had stolen the ham first or something? And the guy enters, the tribe and says, Oh yeah, I took him out. I got the ham back. Otherwise the children might have starved. Or indifference is like, well, shrug shoulders, move on. But in case of evil, evil always needs to be deceptive, doesn't it? You see where that then is going. If, yeah, I guess subjectively people are gonna have disagreements, right? Like, no, Hans didn't, Hans might have deserved something, but not that. That's way too far. Or, yeah, I guess he had it coming, or blah blah blah. Those kind of differences of opinion and how to figure it all out, right? And then, depending on how that ends, there remains to be seen, but that's all by the wayside. But if this was an evil deed, then clearly it has to come with deception. Why? Some cynical people will say, well, you see, that guy has no qualms with clubbing people over the back of the head, stealing their food. And if you just let someone run around doing that, well, you're gonna end up with only him and all the hams until those hams are gone and then he dies. Anti-life. Evil. But there's also a case to be made of that Hans was simply, he earned that ham by himself. He was just enjoying his time in the woods. And Hans has a soul that deserved development, further development. In other words, respect from one to the other. And this evil bastard could not show that respect. Could not show that respect to that soul's development. You don't even hear that people talk like that anymore, do you now? Which is very damn alarming if you ask me. Pretty certain once people did. I think I'm making a fair case with that. Then this person needs to go in hiding or gets found out and gets punished. Probably with a club to the back of the head. Right? Maybe work things off a while for the family of Hans. That is now also bereft of an extra pair of hands. To make it a bit more practical again. So what points have I brought up, like the moral, I suppose, the practical, and somewhat cynical. But leaning towards, wanting to resolve things and keep things healthy, good, if you will. Is it perhaps a bit too short to already make the statement then that man is inherently good? Because that is how it would happen. You could have cabals of evil people who would not care about that, but how long would that last when you really think about it? Bearing in mind that evil is anti-life in all of its consequences. The thing with evil is it's not evil because it causes death, it's evil because it just destroys everything. And creates what you might call bad vibes. You cannot, but maybe that's also part to it. It's like nobody is gonna be happy with someone who clubbed Hans over the head like that just to steal his ham and be able to live with that guy from henceforth. No. Let's say he even does get, or she or whatever gets, doesn't get sentenced or gets a light sentence. No, that animosity is still gonna linger, right? In a healthy environment, among healthy people. Such things do not get forgiven. Why would anyone forgive that? Just because they all agreed there for that one moment to not club the clubber? No, that's not healthy. It's unhealthy. So there is a certain need as well to see justice met. Some say, in modernist society, people speak about how vengeance, for example, and it's a bit of a side topic, is an ill thing. It only causes more fights and more struggle. No, because if that is the case, there was no vengeance involved. Vengeance is exacted on exactly the one who had it coming. You do not strike a killer's brother, for example, just because he's the brother. That's not vengeance. That's a dangerous tantrum. Big difference. They say that and they say that revenge is a dish best served cold. It's not because you then just have like that moment of glee like in these Hollywood movies with these sort of sociopathic types who just gleefully watch the one that victimized them be victimized. No, it's best served cold because that means it's gonna be focused and it's gonna hit the ones that need to be hit, if you will. And it's quite alarming that there is a society out there that tries to speak of vengeance or revenge as something that is bad. Because isn't it bad people who need to make others believe that them doing misdeeds and then being avenged upon, that one should not do that? I'm gonna leave it I'm gonna leave it up to you to make your own mind about that. But yeah, I wanted to have that message of positivity, I guess, hope, well-being, white well-being, that we are inherently good. Shouldn't doubt yourself about that. The reason that you see or notice evil around you is already a sign that you find it abominable. And if by extent you find it abominable, well, what other force than what is generally called good is gonna want to cause that illness? It's kind of like with illness, you're gonna feel sick when the I don't know, whatever illness is besetting you. It's gonna fight back to stay in your body as your body pushes that. That's sick. That's feeling sick. It's actually a good sign if you feel sick around sick people. That is to say, evil people. It tells you, it warns you about yourself that you have a good heart. Flawed as you might be, mistakes as you might have made. We all do that. A lot of good people do something evil once in a while. But you know what? Because they're good people, they're gonna apologize for that. They're gonna make amends. And then things might just settle out again. And they won't demand for anything once they make these apologies or these amends. The other person can stay angry, but they still did the deed themselves. That's what a good person does. It's what you can be. It's what I hope to be. What I hope I am. I should put it like that. And nature is beautiful. If you noticed, beautiful white birches, fresh leaves. I cannot share with you the smell. It smells fresh. The birds whistling. And just a bit of grass and soil underneath my feet. That is worth 1,000,000 mansions, if you ask me. No? I guess it would be fun to sit in a mansion for a little while, just to see how that is like. Just curiosity. But I don't think I would like to stay there for very long. If you look at all these miserable people who do live in them, I'd rather not be part of that cabal. I wonder why so many others haven't realized as much. Anyways. Yeah. White man, pretty good. Capital M, right? We want to do the right thing. Maybe I should add real quickly too is that it's because we're so good that people come to us for all that they want, and it's because those who do so, they might just be evil because they think that they deserve it or can just take it from us. We're like that sweet neighbor who just lets himself be run all over, if you will. Taking the furniture, sitting in the house, messing up the garden, changing the drapes, breaking in the door, like the door is already out of its hinges and there's not even the hinges either are off. You know, the windows, some windows are okay, but others are busted or replaced with whatever the taste is of the ones that come into the guy's house or the white family's house. And it's yeah, I think it's I think it's an example of the naive person thinking it's a good thing to do, whereas actually no, it's a sign of self-loathing or a lack of self. It's self-disrespect. It's self-disrespect because that person or that family thinks that they are the bad guys for having the best house in the street. Well, guess what? They built it themselves though. Didn't have anyone else's help. It's not their fault that others cannot build a house as pretty as theirs, or gardens as luminous or what have you. Luminous. I guess I like with all these fireflies and all that. That's with the moon shining at night and the stars and all of that. Let's look at it that way. What have you? Okay, I'm gonna stop now. I I hope that's a bit helpful for some people who had some doubts. I'm not saying that I have it all right, but I dare say that I do make a fair point. And with that said, I'm gonna go. You'll have a good one, and bye bye.